welcome to the wonderful world of the dragon's blood tree. Apparently, this tree is native to the Asian part of the world, and it starts off as a plant and it kind of migrates into a tree. And as you can see, it's such an unusual structure. It looks like a broccoli, doesn't it? I'm amazed at the creator because the creator has designed this tree so that we can use the bark, we can use the leaves medicinally and in the occult sense. So I'm always amazed by that. This tree has the tendency when it's cut, it bleeds red sap. Very unusual. And that bleeding gives it that appearance of blood. And that's why it's known as the dragon's blood tree. There's more to that story. I will give that information in the video when you watch that portion. But I just wanted to share also this tree, because it doesn't heal in a certain manner like other trees does. Once it's cut, they have to cut it again to get more sap. So they were looking at the possibility that these trees were becoming extinct. So they started to plant them, and we can be happy to know that there's plenty of resin for all of us. So the resin is what you get from the sap once it's collected, okay? And this video is about simplifying recipes, because there are many recipes about how to make dragon's blood ink, but some of them have a lot of ingredients, which we love, but it's not always cost effective, okay? So you have to learn how to do things on a budget, and you have to do things, based on your know-how. And a lot of us are solitary, so we don't have elders to pass information down. So you kind of have to now craft your way through a lot of these more ancient recipes, all right? Don't be scared to make something your own. I will get an idea and then I will tweak it and say, okay, this is how I'm going to work it. I don't stay stuck on tradition for every single thing. You want to get in the habit of making your spell work, making your craft work your own. For example, with this dragon's blood ink, I've never seen anyone do it. Maybe they have, but I haven't seen it. What I do is take thread, like yarn, and I will dye it with the dragon's blood ink. And the reason why I do that is because when you're doing protective work or knot work that's protective, it gives it a double whammy and potency to know that the dragon's blood ink, especially the way I'm preparing it with Florida water, is just more layers of protection. So most people would say you would write with the ink, but I chose to dye my thread with it. And that's where I'm telling you, you have to learn how to stand on your own and put your own spin on your craft work. So let's get into the video, y'all. Hey guys, it's Miss Coconut. Hope you are having a wonderful day. I wanted to share with you a very quick recipe for dragon's blood ink. Now, dragon's blood ink is typically used in spells of protection, exorcism, but they also can be used for money or love. But today we are dealing with protection. So some of the ways that you would use this is like if you are constructing a talisman, sigils, petitions, spell work. If you want to like seal your home, it is a dye, so be careful when you're using it on certain material, okay? And what I have today is I have my mortar and pestle, and I have already begun to grind up some of the dragon's blood. Comes in this resin form, and I began to crush up some of this gum arabic, because the gum arabic actually helps the resin stick. Once you make the ink, it helps it stick to your writing utensil. Is it a writing utensil? Well, whatever it is, your writing tool. And then I'm using Florida water because you typically would use alcohol of some sort. And because I have Florida water on hand, that's what I'm using. And I've done it before and it works just fine. And of course you need a empty glass jar. Make sure that you're able to seal it tightly. Now, Dragon's Blood is called Dragon's Blood because it actually grows from several types of trees that the legend says there was a great fight between the dragon and the elephant, and the dragon was wounded, and from that wound the tree sprang up, which is, the dragon tree is like a plant. It's really weird. Anyway, so when you cut the tree, it bleeds red, and that's why it's called Dragon's Blood resin, or Draco. And so today what we're going to do is basically go ahead and crush these up. I find it's easier to crush it up because you can use like the whole piece, but it's easier to crush it up because it dissolves better, okay? So you're going to crush this up like I've done here, and I'll show you that. And then you're going to add that to your glass jar, and with that you're going to add in the Florida water. And some people do add other things like a scent, like you could use an essential oil, like rosemary, because that's good for protection. And some people will also use different herbs, so like rue, you could add that. Make sure you strain it, and if there's like clumps left over because maybe you're not doing it very fine like I did, you could strain that out and probably dissolve that. This will thicken up over time, so you can add little bits of alcohol as needed to thin it out some more. I've used this to write petitions before, and I've used this to dye some thread before. So I think you could probably find some very creative uses for this Dragon's Blood ink that you may not have previously thought about. So I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial. Let me know what you think. Is this something that you would do? And do you want to see more videos like this from me? So stay tuned. Okay guys, so you see I've crushed it up much more fine than it was in the packages. And now I'm going to add this into the jar. So do you guys collect, excuse my camera shaking every time I touch the table. So do you guys collect these mason jars from like your pickles and olives and spaghetti? You know the spaghetti jars, they're starting to make a lot of them more plastic. Like they're getting hip to us using that for free, right? So basically that's what it's look like. It's very simple. And you just kind of gauge how much you need and allow it to sit. See how pretty that looks? It's already turning that fantastic blood red color. You're just gonna let it sit for a day or two, a few days, and let it all begin to melt down. It's gonna be very beautiful and dark and ready to use. And thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure you tightly close this as it's brewing, okay? And as always, Om Shrim Brezi.